Hello, seekers of 8-bit fun. Yes, we are back. It's a brand new episode for 2022 of Commodore Corner. Yes, we are. Well, we're not in the Commodore Corner as such. That's downstairs. This is, of course, the gaming pantry. This is the retro bed. Nothing changes, does it? Anyway, but welcome if you are taking a stroll down Commodore Corner for the very first time, where you'll find us just round the bend from Spectrum Street and a little bit further on from Amstrad Avenue, where we may possibly be visiting both of those at some point during this year. If you've not seen this before, I'm just picking out playing random Commodore 64 games, giving you my thoughts and opinions as I go along. Now, a couple of things to notice first of all. If you've not seen this series, there are 5 previous episodes. We've gone through probably about 20 odd games or so far. Some really good ones, some not so good ones as well. That's the joy of it. The whole purpose of this is just to highlight the one huge number of Commodore 64 games I've got, and 2 to promote the 8-bit micro era, because believe it or not, it's making a bit of a comeback. A lot of people are very interested in this sort of stuff at the moment, so hopefully you'll find this fascinatingly interesting. And if you've never sort of seen these games before, then this might be a bit of an education. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but you might enjoy this. Also, just to get in as well, right at the very start, all the games will be played on using the original software on the original hardware. Not because I don't believe in emulation, because it serves its purpose. But for me, there is that, it's got to be done retroly properly, you know what I mean? It might not be for everybody. You might want to do it differently. That's fine, but for me, I quite like the frustration of loading something up and finding out it doesn't work, as we will find out during this episode. Yes, there's a spoiler for you. Stay tuned for that one. So yeah, original software, original hardware. Most of the games I'm playing for the very first time. I am just picking these games at random. Now, when I first started doing this series last year, all my Commodore 64 stuff was in different boxes. I just pulled a random box out of the pile and I was working my way through it. Now everything is organised and categorised and tidied up and whatever. I'm having to start again. So today we're going to be looking at dual case games. Okay, next time we might be looking at single case games, and then the time after that we might be looking at giant box games. I really don't know. It just depends how I feel, and what my mood is when I decide to do one of these episodes. Hopefully, I'd like to try and do one of these at least once every week, once every 2 weeks, possibly. See how we go. So, without further hesitation, let's get to the games. Now, we're going to start off with a game which was a sequel to a previous game. That's why it's called a sequel. That's why they call them that. So, the first game up today from Gremlin Graphics is Thing Bounces Back. Now, this is the sequel to Thing on a Spring, which I never played either. I'll just show you very, very quick. Do I need to show you the inside? There's tape there. Some of you know what tape looks like, and it's got the original instructions as well. So this is all, all very, very good condition. I can't remember where I got it from. This is like I've been sitting around my collection for possibly a minimum of 10 years, I suspect. That's the back of the box. So why don't we have a quick look at this one, and I will tell you what I think of it during the commentary and also at the end. So I have to be careful not to call this thing, this game, Thing on a Spring, because it's not. This is the sequel. Nice little tune going on here. I do like the music. Well done, Ben, for doing the music. It's a nice cartoony feel to it, isn't it? It's quite good, this one. I quite like the look of it. That's a really impressive title screen to get going at. Let's see if we can try and find the gameplay. Here we go. So you start off this little maze, and I just can't get my head around it at all. It's a really weird thing, because you end up there, and I think there's 11 rooms that you have to go in. So it's working out where, and it's just impossible to control. It really is. And as the controls here are really weird, because you have to pull down on the joystick to spring up. If you jump on the enemy's heads, then you squash them. You also bounce up to hit the panels which are marked with a question mark, as you'll see here, and they drop little icons. They're different things you can get. In some cases there's a 1-ton weight which, if it drops on you from a great height, it's going to squash you. And those little lifts there are really confusing. It's very difficult to get off those slides. Once you're on those slides on the way down, that's it. Those lasers come down there, they can do damage to you like that one there. You can see your energy bar right in the middle above the score, where the score keeps ticking through. And the score has got a random on it, it keeps going. Not quite sure what's going on at all, to be honest with you. Nor have an idea what I'm meant to be picking up when you clear a room. I've got no idea. Yeah, it's a really strange one. And we're going back down here again. It's 3 times I've been round here now. No, so I don't know, we'll try and go somewhere completely different. It keeps dropping eggs on me. Why do you keep dropping eggs? It's... Yeah, how am I going to reach those up there? I don't know. Let's go this way for a change. Let's go to the right. It just seems relentless. Now, you'll bet to see here. There we go. Now, I'll go into this pipe. It takes me to a different part in the level. As long as you can get out of the pipe when it throws you out and move your character in the direction you want to go, you don't end up spending your entire time going up and down as I was doing before I recorded this. And this is where probably the problem with this game lies. It's just so much going on, and it moves really, really quickly at times, and you've got no idea really where things are. Now, if I pick that up, that's great. I'm happy with that. And then, oh look, there's an entry to a pipe there which I could jump into. That door's come down. I can't get out, so I go down the pipe, round the system again, and oh yeah, I'm back here now. Now there is some sort of door. That E, you can just see above there, top of the screen. If you go through that, that takes you back to that really annoying pipe section, which we came in on. So it's a really tricky one to work out. So it's where you get stuck now. Move the joystick. Oh, move the joystick. There we go. So let's see if I can just knock these panels off. You know, what's that meant to do? I don't know. Smiley face. Is that good or bad? Oil can, whatever that is. And then that takes you back here, and this swings you round. Now obviously some things shut off, as you can see. Some things lead to dead end, but you're looking for that gap, that big brass thing there. You're looking to go into one of those. But you'd have to map this out. In the old days we used to sit there and draw maps of games so you knew where to go, and that is what is really needed here, and I just don't have the patience to do that. And if you could spend the entire day going around here, and chances are you'll end up in the same room you were before, or in my case not, because I'm still going around here. Find a blooming hole. Can't go in there, can't go in there. Oh. And of course you have to be really, really quick with your joystick as well, because if you miss the turning, like I keep doing, you end up going back and forth on this, and this is really annoying now. This is seriously annoying. And of course the instructions in those days weren't much help. They wouldn't tell anything. Now we've got a different room here altogether. And like I said, there's 11 rooms to go through, so again, I'm not, there's no clue to where you should be going. There's no arrows pointing anywhere. You just trial and error, but that's how it was. If you've not played 8-bit games before, that's exactly how it was. And this is where my frustration with this game lies. I'm really not quite sure. Oh, there's the ton weight that appears out of nowhere, and again, you've got very little chance of getting out of the way of it. So, especially if he drops from this height, you've got absolutely no chance. So, yeah, I'm really not sure what to make of this one. It's a real... There we go, back into the pipes again. And I think that's where we'll leave it. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, that one. It's a very strange game. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it struck the right note with the cartoony graphics and the music and the sound effects, but that bit in the pipes, I have no idea what's going on there. I've got no idea what's happening, how to control it. It seems very, very random, and it's a real tricky one. This is the sort of game that we grew up on playing 8-bit era. This is the frustrations of playing platform games. They're either great or they're not great. This one, I think, somewhere sits in the middle. I think it got reviewed very well back in the day, but I think when you look at it now, it's a bit average. So, would I play it again? Probably not. Probably not. But you've got to play these games to try it. So we'll have to see. Now, I mentioned some issues with a game that loaded or didn't work as such. Yep. So if you'd like to, for a moment, please take a moment of silence to mourn the passing of Enigma Force, which was to be game number 2, and as a result has got scratched. Not literally, it has just been scratched from the event, which is a real shame because obviously it's got. Yeah, this is one of these early games we've got no graphics on the back. Doesn't actually tell you, doesn't actually show you what you're getting. Although it does mention it's got a brilliant soundtrack on the Spectrum 2. You can see that there. Yeah, it's a very, very bottom there. Brilliant soundtrack on Spectrum 2. So there we go, just taking the mick out of the Spectrum. Yep, so unfortunately, and I shall put the footage over this now while I'm talking, we only got the loading screen, which is a real disappointment. I tried 10 times to load this game. This is about the best as I got. You can see it's a little bit, what's the word, corrupted. It's gone all pixelated. It did load 2 or 3 times, but when it loaded, just complete garbled software on it. So, and I tried 2 different data cassettes. We even clean the data cassettes out as well. Didn't make any difference whatsoever. I have other data cassettes I could use. We may come back to this one, but and this is a real rarity because I've got quite a few. I've played quite a few of these over the years. This is the first one that just simply will not work. What a shame. Having said that, it is a sequel to a game called Shadowfire, and apparently it's not as good as. I don't know. I can only take other people's words for it. So, yeah, poor old Enigma Force bites the dust. So let's move on to game number 3. Well, 2 actually, because we haven't got 3 now. So game number 2. This is a conversion of a game of a completely different name, which is completely threw me. It's also a US Gold game. Now, anybody who knows about 8-bit games will know that US Gold didn't have a great reputation. But this is also a Sega arcade, so quite fascinating, really. So it's a game called Desolator. But as you'll know, it says at the very, very top there, an authentic recreation of the arcade hit Halls of Kairos. Although they spell it Kyros in the game, Kyros, I'm not quite sure. So when you go onto YouTube to look this game up, search for, when it was the arcade original, search for Halls of Kairos. Don't search for Desolator because you only get the home versions. As you can see, we've got the tape in there. There's also the instructions and also some bit of bump inside there as well, which is quite good. That's always good to see. And there's some screenshots. So it's got the Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amstrad and Atari ST conversions there on the back as well. So let's see how a Desolator plays, shall we? So this is one of the few games you're going to see a loading screen on today. This is Desolator on the Commodore 64. Apologies for all the flickering in the background, but that's what games used to look like when they loaded up. Right, so we are now in the midst of this. Now, I've probably been playing this for about 15 minutes by this point to give you an idea of how far I got, and I've pretty much established what you need to do. The idea is you don't have to actually beat everybody up. You can actually do what I'm doing now and make a run for it. And the idea is just go around clobbering people. Those brown things on the ground are actually landmines, so if you step on those, you end up losing a life. Bottom left hand corner is your energy bar, you've got the score at the bottom, and then bottom right hand corner you have your number of lives. And there are little things dotted around which you have to pick up, so I don't even know what picking that little white guy up did. I had absolutely no idea, but it's somewhat a bleeping sound, and that was it. Those little bottles of potion, I've really got no idea what you're doing there. But what I really do like is when you hit people, they fly off the side of the screen like that. Now, there are little bonuses there. I've obviously punched something to reveal a couple of hidden chests of treasure. Below the energy bar appears to be some sort of weapon, which appears to be a boomerang. And I can't quite work out where you find that. Now, graphically, as you can see, this game is nothing to shout about. It's a pretty atrocious looking effort. And again, that's, probably a fault of the era, and I know it's put some people off gaming as such from playing games from this era, is it just doesn't look very good. But again, sometimes that isn't part of it. This is a power up. That's the boomerangs there. So if I pick that up now, there we go. I fired something there, which was quite interesting, but that appears to have gone now. I'll have to see if I retain that power up as we go through. And there's a barrel there. The barrel follows you around. I don't know why the barrel follows you around. I spent too much time trying to kill it, and then nothing actually happened. Yeah, I did lose the boomerang power because I've gone past that. So yeah, we'll just try and keep going around here. So yeah, I mean, it's not bad. If you make a run for it, I think you'll probably end up having a bit more. You'd have to hit everybody. The guys in the blue and the green take one hit. The knights keep reappearing. Although they're knocking that door through there allows you to go through to the next part of the game. There we go. If you knock him off the screen, but then he reappears on the other side, so it's really weird. So I'm not sure what the potions, the little bottles are. Oh, that flashy thing, and that transports you into the other room. You can get power-ups and things, and then if you step on that, that should move you outside there, you see. So a little bit of trial and error to work out what's going on. But it doesn't take much of your energy to deplete if you start getting into a fist fight with people. That's probably a little bit of a concern. But as you can see, just making a run for it gets you a bit further into the game each time. If you can punch that and open the door there we go. That E there is energy, so just make sure I avoid getting hit again. That will restore the full energy bar, which is good. This is probably about as far as I got, I think, which I was quite impressed with. Using my game playing skills aren't as good as they appear to be usually. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's not going to win any design awards, that's for sure. It wouldn't have won any design awards back then. And you know, I think there's a few hours worth of gameplay in this one. So if you can track a copy down, would I recommend it? Yes. I think you can have a quick go at it. I mean, it's not nothing special. There are massively better games than this, and more better known arcade games. Certainly a game that I've never heard of before until I played this the other day. But not a bad start. Not a bad start at all. So Desolator is absolutely nothing to look at or listen to. It's pretty. I mean, even by, I think it was 1986, 1987 standards this was. It's pretty rough looking, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest with you, it's pretty rough looking. But you know what? I quite enjoyed it. In a way, once I sort of worked out that you didn't have to spend your time beating everybody up, you could actually just make a run for it and keep going. It made me sort of think, you know what, I could actually sit down for a couple of hours and play that. Now, I've read a review in Zap64 for this the other day. I always read the reviews after I play the game to see if my thoughts and opinions are correct. I think they scored it like 41%, which is a shocking mark from back then. But one reviewer said, although it looked like a complete mess, you could probably get a few good hours out of it. Now, again, also with these arcade conversions, is sometimes the original fault lies with the arcade. It's probably just not that good. So have you got an average arcade which got converted into a average home game, possibly? I don't know. I would definitely go back and give it another go, but I'm not saying this is a hidden gem or anything. You know, we don't call them hidden gems. I mean, I would say it's an ice gem, probably more of an ice gem than a hidden gem. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you can find it cheap enough, you know, give it a whiz. Especially if you're a Sega fan, as you see on the bottom, they just say it is a Sega arcade game. Now, of course, US Gold had the licenses for a number of different arcade. I think they had the Atari license for a while. They had obviously the Sega one. They later had Capcom. So a lot of Capcom games in the late 80s made their way onto the Commodore 64 and other 8-bit home systems as well. So yeah, I'd possibly slightly recommend that one. Might be worth it. Right, game number 3. Now this is the biggie. This is the big game of the 4, I think, this week. This episode. Certainly people have heard of this one. Now I had this game originally on the Amiga, and I asked for it for Christmas. What did I ask for Christmas? Had I played it in the arcade? I think I'd seen it in the arcade, but I hadn't played it. And it's one of these games where you probably have to experience in the arcade. And I think there was a sit down. I'm not sure there's a hydraulic version of this one. Someone may have to point this one out to me. However, what we're about to play is another Sega game. Oh, it's Sega special this week. Don't get too excited though, because it's Thunderblade. Now, again, you'll notice there's a Pepsi Challenge Game of the Year. There's some product placement in this game, so first I should point out that that's beyond my control. And what have we got here? So again, we've got taping instructions. as always. It's good to have those things. I shall just turn that tape around because I like everything to be a little bit more uniform than just plonked in there. Having said that, it might be the case. And shut. No, there it does. It does shut. Brilliant, isn't it? Because it says on the back there, see reverse for incredible screenshots, and that's a worry, isn't it? That is a worry. Why would you put something like that in there? Do you not want people to pick the game up in the shop and look at it? I have absolutely no idea. So I had this on the Amiga, and it was a very average game. So shall we see how this one compares to that? Thunderblade! Yes, so this is by Chris Butler. Well-known programmer. Yeah, product placement at the start, and this is it. So you've got a top-down view. Game fluctuates between this and 3D, which we'll see in a moment. You've got armoured vehicles, tanks and helicopters, all differing levels, and their idea is to blow you out of the sky. You need to avoid those by also swerving around, and also making sure that you blow everything up as much as possible. That's basically the premise of it. And yeah, it's doesn't look good, does it? It's not a good looking game, this. I think it's fair to say it's a pretty ropey looking old conversion. But then this is the Commodore 64, this is not the height of technology. And as you can see here from the 3D effect, it's pretty ropey here, and all the graphics are shocking in all fairness. Now of course, appreciate this game was probably in 1988, so it's about 35 years old near enough. So it's going to look a bit rough. It's obviously an 8-bit system, it's the roughest of the rough really. Oh, there we go, one die. Down we go. But yeah, I mean, was there an excuse for it? Is this about as good as this game could have got back in the day? Well, it gets incredibly confusing with an awful lot on the screen, and it appears to be that you've got helicopters, we've got jets, we've got tanks. Oh, this is getting complicated. Where the the bullets coming from, where the missiles coming from. It seems to be if you sit at the top of the screen like that, you avoid everything, which is not good either. As you can see at the bottom, you've got a score meter, a distance meter, which tells you how far on the level you are, and also a speed meter, because you can actually increase or decrease the speed of your helicopter. Also, interestingly, on this level, you can actually reverse the scrolling, so you're actually scrolling along normally. The computer's doing this for you at the moment, but you can actually pull back on the joystick to go back and shoot things that you missed, which I think is quite a little bit of a novel feature. But yeah, you're just going around blowing things up. Will avoid being hit, which I feel we're doing a pretty good job of at the moment. Now I've been playing this probably when I record this footage for around about 10 minutes or so. This is the first I've got. So this is best run of the day, which is quite good. But again, after about 10 minutes to get this far into the game, I don't know if that... Actually, there we go, we do a bit of reverse on that, but we can't go all the way back, unfortunately. I'm not quite sure which it's going to shoot at. But yeah, I mean, you can see graphically this is not a very good game. And it seems to be quite easy to avoid the bullets on this one, which is really weird, because that doesn't usually happen. And we should get a giant explosion now. There we go, and that tells you that the aircraft carrier has blown up. And believe it or not, we made it the second level. So, yeah, 2 minutes 47 seconds. Yeah, if each level takes 2 to 47 seconds, I'm going to be through this in about 10 minutes, I think. I probably should have played it for a bit longer. Swift cut here because we're now on to level 2. This being a multi-load game, which I'll explain about in a minute, is the reason for doing that. Because there was a bit of a wait between this one and that one. Now this one is a little bit, again, same vein. You start off with a top-down view. Oh, I've died twice on this one now. That's no good. Number of helicopters in the bottom left-hand corner. I've got one left. I'm going to keep going for a bit here. Yeah, so it's going to fluctuate between top and bottom. Now this one is really messy, because you've got caverns to go between, and then pillars to avoid. So, I mean, this is like. I mean, can you see the aeroplane? Can you see the helicopter stop flashing? And then, what becomes now survival? Do I sort of like shoot things? Do I avoid things? I mean, I'm shooting nothing now. I'm just flying a helicopter. I mean, this is a real strange old game. This one. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a mess. So this is Thunderblade on the Commodore 64. Not very well. Jeez, man. I mean, having again spoken to somebody else who knows a little bit about 8-bit games, and they were telling me afterwards, I think it's a Chris Butler game. Chris Butler, I think, must be a very well-known programmer. So my 8-bit knowledge is good, but not that good. I'm not entirely au fait with a lot of the developers, but I think he did Space Harrier on the Commodore 64, and again, if you look at that, it's terrible. And this just goes to show, as I mentioned, that the 3D, you can't do 3D on the Commodore 64 very well. The top-down bits are very, very good. The 3D stuff is an absolute mess. Now, I played that for probably 15 minutes, and I got to the second stage, which I would say is alright, but that doesn't give you an idea of how long the game may last. Also, as well, it's a multi-load. Now, if you don't know anything about 8-bit games, some games load singularly absolutely fine. This one is a multi-load, which means that if you die on a, say, level 2, as I did there, you would then have to rewind the tape and start again and loading it in back to the first level. So you can imagine the frustration. Can you imagine doing that now? Can you imagine doing that? It's sort of the equivalent of installing a game onto your PlayStation 4, playing the first level, getting through to, say, level 3, then the game stops. The game stopped now? I don't know. They just seem to go on forever. And then having to uninstall the game and then reinstall it to start all over. That was the equivalent of a multi-load. If you're playing these through emulations or through, say, a digital transfer or a digital tape, what they call image, then you're not going to have that problem. But if you're going to play it the old-fashioned way, like your old mate here, you're going to have a real issue with this one. And as a result, it's not very good. There we go. What a shame. And the Amiga version wasn't all that good. I think I maybe got to about the third level on the Amiga version. But yeah, got much better. I've got it on the Master System. I don't think I have it on the Mega Drive, but it came out on pretty much most formats around that time. So anyway, so let's move on to the final game for this Commodore Corner episode, and a sports game. Now, before you all turn off, sports games were completely different back then. You know, it's not like this game is in a series of yearly releases. You know, you didn't have updated versions every year of the same game. You didn't have that, simple as that. Somebody just tried to bring out a better game than before. So, you know, for football examples, international soccer on the Commodore 64 was the benchmark in the early days until, say, Emlyn Hughes came out. And Emlyn Hughes then was the benchmark until probably Kick-Off, and then Sensible Soccer. So you always have come along until the mid-90s or the early 90s when you got the FIFA franchise starting. But sports games will come and go, and generally speaking, they were good and they were bad. This one here is from a company who were very well known for producing lots of games based around Olympics. So, you know, winter games, summer games, world games, which was a bit of fun. I've got that on the Master System. California games as well, which I've also got, which may be coming not very far away because it's not far along this shelf. Anyway, this game is actually part of a series of games. There's one called baseball, one called football, which is American football, and soccer. What we're playing today is street sports basketball. Now, yeah, I mean, how many basketball games have you played over the years? I played very, very few, apart from the NBA live games. So I've not played much basketball at all. I don't really like basketball. I wasn't a fan of NBA Jam because I wanted to see a proper basketball game, not a cartoony arcade representation, although I know a lot of people love it. We have again got tape and instructions, and also there's a copy shot of the screen on the back. This is quite interesting. So let's get to the footage and you can make your own minds up. So the interesting thing about street sports basketball is you get an option of playing on, as you can see, 4 different courts: school, alley, suburbs and city. And then option of playing against a human or against the computer. So if you have a friend to play with, then it's all very well and good. But the fascinating thing here, again, 3 difficulty levels, which is easy, intermediate and hard, so I've gone for the intermediate level. The interesting thing about this game is that all these characters here, all the 9 players who were sat there, I should have put the retro bears in, but you couldn't. You couldn't. Not enough characters, so you just changed into retro bears. All these players have different attributes, so it's not the case of you're just picking people. They all have different skills and abilities. I'll just scamp in onto the coin toss because that's not really very exciting. But you see, yeah, they all have different things about them. So you know, this one's an average shooter. This one can do certain things, but she tends to stay out of the way. But she can get the passes through. So, and when you play the game, you actually work out that they do work. They do work. So you know, people do drop passes, people do miss shots. Very interesting. Quite like the idea of that. Now, once you've done this, after the game's loaded this bit in, then you're going to sit there and wait for it to load again. And I must be honest with you, at least 2 or 3 times during the loading process, I thought the game had actually crashed. However, it didn't. So, let's pick up the action with the Retro Bears trailing by 10-2. This was a bad start. There we go, we got 2 points back. So my team's in green, the computer's playing in blue, and it's just standard basketball stuff really. You press the fire button to shoot, and then twice, once to jump, and then again to shoot. Passing is exactly the same thing. You just point in a direction and somebody will pick it up. You can change player as well by double clicking the fire button, and highlighted in light colour gives you an idea which player you're controlling. People keep falling over. There's no real rules as such. It's not like a proper basketball with travelling and fouls and penalties. It's been played on a court, a high school court, isn't it? So yeah, for some reason all 3 of us fell over there. That's ambitious. Oh. And you see, they got a bit of a break on there, so you know, see that player there has a speed issue. Very good with the ball. That's good. There we go. 10-8. We're clawing our way back. But all of the players were catching up and moving quicker. Some weren't. Maybe we'll see a bit later on. Some will just actually carry on going and getting further and further away from people. Oh, have we equalised? We have. We've come from 10-2 down to equalise to 10-all. This is rather exciting stuff. You don't see this stuff nowadays, do you? See, just passing the ball around. It's easy to control, believe me. I mean, again, no 3. That would have been a 3-pointer usually. No 3 points on this one. That was a 2-pointer. We're actually in the lead now. For anybody paying attention at this great sporting moment. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now. But you know, it's just, I think it's just really, really good fun. I mean, it's simple, it's basic, it's straightforward. You don't need to be a basketball, whiz or know how to see what's going on. See, he's dropped the ball there, so that was interesting to see. Oh, there we go. Run! No, that's one all the way down the other end. Oh, and they've walked into each other. Loose ball. Still loose ball. Short pass. Oh, and that's going to go out of play. And there we go. Like I said, you've got 4 different courts to play on. You've got there's 9 players to choose from. The only issue you'll have at the end of it is if you want to go and pick up the players, you'd have to load the whole thing in again. Which is we mentioned multi-loads already in this episode. You really don't want to be going along that far. You can set the parameters. You can play to a certain number of scores or a certain time limit, etc. Now here we go. Run, woman, run. Going to go do a slam dunk. See if she can get it in there. Yes, she can. 14-10, 12 unanswered points. Oh, loose ball. And another one. 16-10. We're playing first to 20, just so you're aware. And again, another bad pass. They're losing it. They've given up 14 unanswered points. Oh, and there's a bad pass there from the Retro Bears. We've won it back, and it's just wide. Can you say just wide in basketball? I don't know. Off the rim. Oh, 18-10. Can we get to 20? Can we do it? They've got a lot of thinking to do, the blue team. But yeah, this is the intermediate level. As I said, I did read afterwards that the difficulty levels were not great on any of them against the computer. It's much better to play this against somebody else. So if you do have a friend to play with, this is a good game to do it. But yeah, I mean, basketball. I'm not a massive fan of basketball, but I really did enjoy playing this. I struggled to start with, but once you got into it, know what you were doing, and had a bit of luck. Oh, that's a good shot. Damn, 18-14. But once I got into it, it's like really, really good. Oh crap! It's getting straight. Oh, how did he miss that? Wow, that's miss. It's kind of an open goal. Go on, that's the pass. Oh, it's out of play. Ah, geez. But you know, it goes to show you, not everything now is automatically done by simply pressing the fire button and the pass is there. You have to work at it. Go on then. Is this for the victory? For the win? Yes, the Retro Bears are the winners. Coming from 10-2 down to win by the score of 20-14. Yeah, and yet there was some slam dunking in the cities of Hellzone this evening. They've done fantastically well. Yeah, what a fun game that is. So it's nice to finish Commodore Corner on a high. We've had a bit of a bumpy ride this episode, but without far and away, the clear winner of this episode of which game could I recommend to you is this one. This is really, really good. The fact that the players you pick at the start actually do have attributes and they do respond to those attributes. Now I know that as well because I've watched a video on Street Sports Football, which is the American football one, and graphically it's about as good as, but the players do have different attributes. Certain players can't catch the ball or they keep dropping it. Some of them are slower than others, and this is exactly the same here. And you'll notice from that, during that game, there were little mistakes. People did drop the balls from the passes went astray. The shooting wasn't quite as good as. And it was also great to see the Retro Bears come back from 10-2 down where we joined the action. I again read afterwards, again, it is very well thought of. The computer opponent is apparently not quite as difficult per the settings, although we were playing that on intermediate. I did read afterwards that the computer is actually not all that good. But without a shadow of a doubt, this episode's recommendation is that Street Sports Basketball. Really, really good fun. And you can get a second player involved. Yeah, it's good. Obviously, comparing it to something that's more modern, it's completely different. But if you want your old school gaming, that is not a bad one to pick up. So there we go, Commodore Corner. We've gone through 4 different games. We would have gone probably through 5. There we go. This week's selection. Thing bounces back, Desolator, which you can't see because it's stuck between that and Thunderblade, and then Street Sports Basketball. And once again, please do put a candle in the window and spare a thought for poor old Enigma Force, which unfortunately doesn't work. I'm going to have to put some sort of labelling system on this, and so I know which ones do and which ones don't going forward. But yep, so nice to be back on Commodore Corner. I really hope you've enjoyed that. If you have done, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, tick the bell for more video notifications, all sorts of different stuff going on. All the other previous 5 Commodore Corner episodes are in the archives below. I would love it if you went out and check those out as well, see what they're all about. And like I said, I'm hoping to do some more 8-bit stuff this year, and I would like to try and get the Spectrum and the Amstrad into the mix as well. So it might be Commodore Corner one month, and it might be, we'll do Spectrum the following month or whatever. I've got a lot of 8-bit games to get through. We could be doing this for a number of years, possibly longer than I've got. I don't know. I hope not. Anyway. But yeah, I've you really enjoyed that. Please don't forget to let me know if you have done. If you want to see a particular sort of Commodore 64 style of gameplay or a game in particular, I'll have a look and see if I've got it. Because some people want to see you play certain games. I'll have a look. And like I said, next time it could be some of the cardboard games, box games. It could be some of the dual cases. We could be doing a budget range special. We could be doing playing some of the hit squads. Who knows? It could be any one of those. But more importantly, from me to you, thank you very much indeed for watching and checking this out and giving it a click to see what it's all about. I'll talk to you very soon. But this is the Retro Bear in Commodore Corner saying bye for now.